come and read this to you. I just got just got it in the mail today. It's kind of messed up. See. Okay. Election year 2022. Republican National Committee Grassroots Quarterly. Spring 2022. A message from Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. It's officially 2022, which means it's election season. As we approach the November midterms, Republicans have every reason to feel optimistic, but we cannot become complacent. Your ongoing support of the Republican National Committee, RNC, is vital as we lay the foundation to win back the U.S. House and U.S. Senate and elect Republicans at all levels in upcoming elections. The stakes are high for our country. A year into his term, Joe Biden and his fellow Democrats have demonstrated that they cannot be trusted with power. Their agenda is hurting our communities and putting our families last. But Biden couldn't care less. His priority is political gain.
That you are fairer than all mortals. Charm is plain on your lips, as you are ever blessed by God. Oh, hero.
Hey, I'm doing a video. I'm doing a video. Excuse me.
I can't read with you reading.
I'm only doing it for 10 minutes. I'll be done. That's exactly why we cannot let Democrats win in November. Consider Biden's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite promising to shut down the virus, Americans continue to test positive for COVID-19 every day. As the year began, new cases reached record highs and hospitalizations surged. Americans spent hours in line to get tested, if they could get one at all. But Biden didn't seem to care. Despite being warned about the impending shortages and repeatedly promises access to Americans, Biden failed to deliver the rejected a proposal for free rapid tests for the holidays. Instead, he's declared there is no federal solution, effectively throwing up his hands. As the virus spread, schools increasingly reverted to the restrictions that characterized the start of the pandemic. Just as the spring semester began, more than 5,000 public schools closed for in-person learning, even though we know the risk of COVID-19 for children are. Continue on page 2. Extremely low. Democrats in cities like Seattle, Atlanta, and Portland vowed to teachers, unions threatening to strike if their demands weren't met, and using the pandemic as leverage. But as the Democrats play politics, students pay the prices. These interruptions to their education will take a toll on their futures, with one study predicting that the uncertainty will cost the average student around $60,000 in their lifetime earnings. While coronavirus cases surge, the economy continues to leave Americans behind. Recent jobs reports show Biden is squandering the economic recovery he inherited. And 4 out of the last 5 jobs reported of 2021, the economy added back less jobs than predicted. That trend would have only gotten worse if Biden's vaccine mandate took effect. making Americans choose between individual freedom and their livelihoods. A prospect the RNC sued to prevent. Meanwhile, Biden's reckless spending is making everything more expensive, and the ongoing supply chain crisis is emptying store shelves across the country. While wealthy elites may not notice a strain on their pocketbooks, regularly Americans do. In fact, for the first time, alarm over inflation has surpassed COVID-19 as voters' top concern. Democrats know they can't win on their records, so they pivoted to a federal takeover of location elections. On top of that, radicals like those of the New York City Councils are allowing non-citizens to vote in multiple elections. If leftists get their way, there'll be a trend coming soon to the city near you. That's why the RNC is committed to fighting these efforts at every level, most recently suing New York City. There is a long way to go until election day this November, but the momentum is on our side. Just look at the results from 2021 elections. In Virginia, where Biden won by 10 points just a year earlier, Republicans swept all three statewide races and majority in the House of Delegates. In deep blue New Jersey, Republicans came within a few points of outstanding a Democrat governor. Even in the states like Washington and Minnesota, the hotbeds of the riots and anti-police sentiments of 2020, voters defunded the police agenda. And in Texas, our message of freedom, prosperity, and safe continues to resonate among Hispanic voters. These wins were not by accident. They are a result of commitment of so many to advance our party's cause. We're building a grassroots army of election integrity directors in 15 states to ensure free, fair, and transparent elections. We're making inroads in minority communities that Democrats have long taken for granted by opening nearly 20 community centers just in 2021, with more to come. We've made more than 12 million voter contacts in the past year, and only plan to grow that number in the months ahead. Our legal team is leading the way on dozens of lawsuits all over the country to hold Democrats accountable for their attempted power grabs. Winning in November will take a team. Thankfully, the Republican Party has dedicated and steadfast supporters like you leading our drive to elect GOP candidates up and down the ballot in the midterm elections. I'm grateful to have you as part of our team working with us in these endeavors. Ronna McDaniel. Okay, so I got a little bit more time. The stakes are high for our community. A year into his term, Joe Biden and his fellow Democrats have demonstrated that they cannot be trusted with power. Their agenda is hurting our communities and putting our families last, but Biden couldn't care less. His priority is political gain. That's exactly why we can't let Democrats win in November. Has anybody heard, if you're watching this, have you heard the gain of function? Have you ever heard of that? It's called the gain of function by Dr. Fauci. Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, he talks a lot about that, about Dr. Fauci and the power of the gang of power. Oh man, I fucking forgot. Sorry about that. Sorry. Gang of function. Gain of function. Rand Paul told Dr. Fauci that he knew that Fauci was funding with money the gang of function.